thank you for coming into our Workout Wednesday boot camp here at noon. We're going to be going through a little bit of a workout here today with our cat-cow, our shoulder hip cars, and our bird dogs, getting everything loosened up, mobilized, and then connected together. And then we're going to work on our workout, which is going to go into our glute bridges, getting our hips nice and active, some bird dog crosstabs, a little bit of a challenging exercise today, starting off strong. And then we're going to work through a bunch of different other ones that are going to get our heart rate up a little bit, such as our lateral marches, our shoulder taps, our squat heel taps, lateral squats, and single leg kicks, all working towards staying moving, using those muscles through movement, and just getting the heart rate up a little bit here today. So without any further ado, we're going to get into our workout. Starting with our warm-up, we're going to get down onto our hands and knees with our cat-cow. So getting our hands right below the shoulders, knees right below the hips, creating that nice tabletop figure, sucking belly button to spine, and dropping the spine down, curling out, curving that spine down, dropping the belly button to the ground, and pulling the spine up towards the ceiling, tugging those hips underneath, just moving back and forth, getting some nice stretching and movement from the spine, pulling that belly button up, going back and forth between our cat-cow pose here. And moving along into our shoulder and hip cars. So getting some nice rotation and articulation. We're going to extend the hand out forward, coming back behind and back down to the ground. Switching direction with the same arm. Up and around and reaching back behind. Very good. Next up, we're going to get into the hips, starting with the same sort of movement, bringing that leg back out, around, and down, and coming up, around, and back down. Move to the other side, back, around, and down, up, around, back, and down. Good. Next up, we're going to get into our bird dog. So extending opposite hand and leg out, sucking that belly button to spine, getting nice and stable, and dropping down, lowering back to our stability, sucking that belly button up, pressing the ground away, creating a nice flat connection from fingertip to toe. And lowering down. One more on each side. And very good. Lowering back down. All righty, from here, we're going to get into our workout. So first things first, we're going to lay onto our back, nice and flat, keeping our feet on the floor. We're going to drive our hips up to the ceiling, creating a nice flat line from the shoulder through the hips into the knees. Sucking that belly button up. Excuse me. Up in towards the ceiling, getting a nice lowering down and popping back up, really squeezing those hips up towards the ceiling. Nice and slow down, tapping at the bottom and driving up. Nice even pace. Drive it back and forth, getting those hips up into the air. And lowering down. Very good. Next up, we're going to head into our bird dog crosstabs. So for here, we're going to be back into our bird dog position. We're going to extend out, and tap. Knee to elbow, extend back out and come down. Switching sides. So just getting our bird dogs at a little bit faster of a pace and getting that elbow to knee tap. A little bit of a crunch across the body. Woo. And the tricky part is to maintain that stability the whole time. Back and forth, a couple more here. Almost there. And done. Good. Next up, we have our squat heel tap. So getting our feet about hip width apart. We're going to drive our hips back, lowering the weight down over the middle of the foot, and coming back as we come up. We're going to alternate each foot that we tap. Coming up, tap, tap, down. Or you can get a squat and one tap. Might find a little bit better of a pace here, just in terms of even movement, tapping back and forth. Nice, even pace. Nice and easy here. Almost there. And done. All right, next up, we're going to do our lateral marches. So, getting a little bit of space off to the side here. We're going to bring one knee up, drive up, step out, squat down. Nice and even, bringing that knee up. Coming up, over, and squatting out to the side. Nice even pace, stepping out, and coming back up tall. A few more here. Nice, even pace, really getting that knee up, keeping that weight over the middle of the foot. And finished. Good. Next up, we're going into our shoulder taps. I have a brutal chest day on Monday, so my chest is super sore. So I'm gonna keep my knees down for this one. So I got my knees down. You can either extend the feet back out, but here we're gonna get the weight over the hands and alternate back and forth. Opposite hand to shoulder, keeping that nice flat back, belly button sucked into spine, weight over the hands, switching back and forth. Very even pace, almost there, and done. Very good. Next up, we're headed into our eccentric push-ups. I'm gonna keep my knees down again for this one. And from here, I'm gonna lower my chest down towards the ground, falling directly in between the hands. So right as I lower the chest down, my hand should be right on the outside of my chest, keeping those elbows nice and tucked in towards the rib, not letting the shoulders rotate out, pointing those elbows to the side. You want to keep them nice and tucked into the body. As we go nice and in control here. Sometimes I like to give a little rock back as a rest and help me push all the way through. Almost there. And Done. Good. Next up, we have our glute kickbacks. So, starting in this same position, holding the quadruped, we're going to extend the leg back behind into a nice big kick, straight out from the hip, keeping that knee pointed down to the ground, getting a nice, powerful kick back behind. Nice even pace. Kicking those legs out. And switching sides. Keeping that knee pointed down to the ground, not letting it open up towards the side. Thinking about pulling that heel up towards the ceiling. And done. Good. Next up, we have our lateral squat. Now this is going to be similar to the marches, except for we're not bringing that knee all the way up and out and over this time. We're just going to squat down, step out to the side, and continue moving through. Getting a lot of lateral movement here today. Stepping back into our midline, squatting down, and coming back the other direction. Controlling that weight side to side. A little switch up on you there. Almost there. And done. Good. Next up, we have our single leg kicks. So standing nice and tall, shoulders over hips, hips over heels. We're going to kick one leg out, straight out in front, trying to get our opposite hand to touch that toe. Keeping our chest nice and tall, belly button sucked into spine. Kicking those feet out and in front. Nice even pace, back and forth. Getting those feet up, out and in front. Nice even pace. Moving back and forth, almost there. And done. Good. Starting back at the top, we've got our glute bridges. So laying down onto our back, getting our feet flat against the floor. We're going to extend those hips up into the air, holding nice and tight, and slowly lowering down, tapping at the bottom, and driving back up. Nice and slow down, tapping and coming up, creating that nice flat line from shoulder through hips to knees, squeezing those hips up into the air. Moving back and forth, nice and easy. And finishing out. Good. Next up, we have our bird dog cross taps. So getting onto our hands and knees. Extending one leg, one hand out, crossing knee to elbow and extending back out. Moving back and forth, keeping that stability as we get a little bit of extra movement here. Trying to keep that belly button and spine, core nice and engaged. stability through the hand and the knee the whole time. Extending out, back and forth. Almost there. And done. Very good. Next up, we have our squat heel taps. So standing up onto our feet. Getting our feet about hip width apart. We're going to squat down. Drive those hips back, knees out over the toe. And bringing one foot up. Tapping, dropping down. Switching back and forth. Nice even pace. Really getting those hips low and bringing those heels up. Driving those feet up. Getting a nice tap side to side. Almost there. A few more seconds. Getting that nice even pace. Last little bit of work here as we finish out the circuit. Almost there, and done. Good, next up, we have our lateral marches. So, this is where we're connecting those cars into our squats. So you bring that knee up, rotate out to the side, step, squat down, and back out. Nice wide squat, coming up, out, and over. 3 out, and 3 back. Getting that knee up, out, and over. Getting a nice deep squat through both feet here. Straight through the middle of the foot. One more as we come back. Dropping over to the side. And done. Very good. Next up, we're going to get into our shoulder taps. So dropping back down to the knees. We've got our quadruped little part right here. So we're going to start with our shoulder taps. Alternating opposite hand to shoulder. Keeping that weight over the hands, getting that stability through the shoulder, trying to get some quickness from the hands here as we tap back and forth. Keeping that weight up through the heel of the palm. Switching back and forth. Almost there. And done. Good. Next up, we're going to go into our eccentric push-ups. So, keeping our hands wide, we're going to lower our chest down and drive through the heel of the hand, getting that drive straight through the chest. Maybe a little rock back as we come back down, keeping those elbows tucked in towards the ribs. Creating 2 springs with our arms to just push that weight straight back up. Sucking belly button to spine, keeping that core nice and tight, back stays flat. As we lower down here, don't let that stomach drop. Almost there. And done. Good. Next up, we have our glute kickbacks. So, staying in that quadruped position, we're going to extend one leg back, keeping that knee pointed down. We're going to bring that heel up and out towards the ceiling there, keeping that leg straight, hip closed down towards the ground. We're not opening up the hip. We're rotating the leg out, keeping everything pointed down towards the ground. And switching sides. Kicking out behind us. And done. Good. Next up, we're going to get into our lateral squats. So stepping back up. We're going to step out to the side, squat down, and move over. Nice, even pace. Stepping out and squatting down. Changing up the speed here from our last set, and really loading as we step out here. Back and forth. Nice, even pace. Almost there, keep it up. And finished. Good. Next up, we're going to have our single leg kicks. Keeping our shoulders and our torso nice and tall. It's kind of weird to say. Shoulders and torsos nice and tall. We're going to kick one leg straight out. Bringing our opposite hand to toe. Or at least attempting, maybe tapping the knee if we can't reach all the way to the toe without rounding forward. The idea is that we want to stay nice and upright and not trying to round out the back too much. But we're just kicking those toes straight up, trying to get that knee straight out as we kick. Almost there. And done. Very good. All right. We are going to head into our cool down portion for today. So the first thing that we're going to do is start with opening up our hips. So we're going to get down into a deep squat here. Actually, change that. We're going to go into a forward lunge. So getting down onto one knee, having our knee point forward, hips forward, shoulders forward. We're going to get our torso nice and tall, sucking that belly button to the spine, and lunging forward, bringing that knee out over the toe. Creating some nice length as we keep that torso tall, stretching through the front of the hip flexor here. And driving back out. Switching sides, dropping the knee down, and lunging out forward, stretching into that hip flexor, driving that knee out over the toe. Getting a nice big stretch through the front of the leg. And driving back out. Very good. Next up, we're going to get into a Shin Fold. So we're going to get one leg out in front of us like this. Nice and flat out in front. From here, we're going to pop up onto our knee so that we're laying onto our front leg with our back knee supporting, and then dropping our elbows down to the ground. Getting a nice stretch through the back of the hip and the glutes. So I'm going to get some nice deep breaths in. And relaxing out, going to the side. We're going to drop our other leg down, extend the leg back behind, and popping up We're gonna get a nice big stretch into the back of the leg. Stretching out through that backside hip. Lowering the stomach down onto the shin. And extending back out. Next, we're just going to get our hips nice and wide and get the forearms down. So I've got my knees out wide, toes pointed out to the side. And from here, I'm just going to rock back into a hip stretch. Driving my elbows through the ground so as to push those hips back towards the heels. And slowly relaxing out. Very good. Awesome job. Thank you for stopping in today. I appreciate you guys always stopping by. Don't forget, check out our SharePoint. We have a lot of really great resources there, including the rest of our class schedule and any consultation services that you might need to answer all your fitness related questions. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.